Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkie with StartUpTrading.com. It is 9:04 a.m. Eastern Time. Sorry, Jack, lost track of time completely this morning. I'm bacheloring it. My wife was out of town for a wedding. I lost track of time completely. So as we look at uh, what I would like to do is start off with just the news flow for the week. So the big events for the week, which are always what I like to know when and where they are. It's going to be Wednesday at 8:30. We're going to have CPI. That's going to be a big print, right? And then we're going to have PPI on Friday. Keep in mind that Friday will also be the last day that we're going to have September as the front month. Come next Monday morning, all the platforms will be on December as the front month. And then next week is really where the larger events are. After those two for this week, you got the CPI and PPI this week. We're going to have rollover on Monday. We're going to have the VIX expiration on Wednesday. And then we're going to have a FOMC announcement on Wednesday. I'm telling you right now, and that's supposed to be the first rate cut, which is also going to be announced. Uh, and then Friday we're going to have quad which is basically the quarterly expiration for the option indexes or for the indexes. Sorry. So I'm telling you right now, and you should plan on it, that next Wednesday afternoon will be, you know, almost untradeable, right? I'm sure it'll be very technical. It'll be just probably faster than us humans can get around to see, and the volatility will probably be huge because we're having that VIX expiration on Wednesday, and then the first rate cut also Wednesday. Uh, you know, I'll probably just be not trading those last 2 hours of the day that day. Just stay away from it. It'll be easier to trade Thursday and Friday as the market probably fades whatever it does in those 2 hours on Wednesday. The next 48 hours will probably be a complete fade or some type of a fade setup. So keep that in mind. So we beat up positioning. There's no real earnings this week. I have not done positioning yet. I will post that as soon as I get off the mic here. And if there's anything of note, I will share that with you in the both of the trade rooms. If there's not, I'll just be posting this in equity profiles. So looking back at Friday's session, right, we had the, went up for five, for a smidgen of time at the bell open, and then just straight down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bars. And you can see how it kind of slowed down from the fourth through the seventh, and then just kind of flagged sideways for all the indexes. And that was Friday. So what we want to do is, what did that do to the structure? Surprisingly enough, all we had was one large set of signal prints for most of the indexes. The Dows was less, not as large in range. We also have an excess and A line for each of the indexes. That's where, you need to be cautious taking shorts above that level. That could be the flip point where it's probably better to buy pullbacks potentially than it is to sell shorts, and then you just have to see getting back below that line. It's probably more two-sided until we get under the range. So within Friday's range, it's two-sided. Above the XS&A line, it's probably more uh, bullish, and then later on in the week, I don't know about necessarily today, but the title of my video is Monday after Friday's capitulation, and that's because we had underwater trades go off, and all that means is we take note here in equity profiles when trades go off after the bell close at 4 o'clock, before futures close at 5 o'clock. If there's any trades that go off above the high or the low of the day, in this case they went off below the low of the day, and quite a few of them actually. When you can see that there was a set of single prints down here that still haven't traded, so that is still on deck. Uh, so looking at where we are now, we had Friday's range was pretty large. We had that big range on the September 3rd. You know, last Tuesday session, we come down, and then you can see, you know, just continued to one time frame lower on the ES, and then another plunge yesterday. So you can just looking left of the chart, and you know, this was that previous gap that we had over here in the middle of June. We kind of come back in there, but uh, you know, I had talked about if you lose the bottom of this high volume node, you know, there's nothing really to stop you until you get to the, you know, the valley or the absolute lowest point in this low volume node, which, you know, this is just technical bounce. So potentially now this is going to be resistance right around 55.15, and we could end up. Uh, think about this is still, this is the bottom of this larger node, and then this is the start of another node. You can see how much more volume is in here, but uh, look at these untested points of control. We have one up around 5,700 at 56.99 half. And then we don't have, you know, this is Friday's point of control at 54.19 half. But then we have, you know, that point of control going back to August 12th at 53.67. We have one going back to August 2nd at 55 or 52.05, sorry, 52.05. And you know, it's pretty clean structure. So this one's fairly recent, and we could, you know, get to this side of the valley for sure, and then see what happens. But right now, we're just, you know, basing at the bottom of this low volume node. We had the capitulation on Friday, so what I'm guessing is we just spend a day kind of in this area. And it wouldn't surprise me if we put in an incremental lower low and then bounce. Uh, that's always on the table as a scenario, no matter what. Look at the ES. It did come down to this 53.9875. Let's just call it 5,400 for the sake of argument. And then it did find support there. And then you can see that I had marked this low from May 31st down here, and you know, we incrementally went through it but did not, you know, hold or have not held through there yet. It's just, you know, overnight action that's been there. So to be honest with you, I think holding above 50, if you're looking under the microscope, holding above 54 33 on the ES can get you that can go up to 54.90 to 55.07, and it could just be, you know, chopping around there. And think about it, you know, as the bell opens, we could just repeat this day from August 14th, which was the untested point of control we took out on Friday. And the range for that day for the ES was 54.40 basically to 54.88. That could be in play again. And if we look over at the NASDAQ, it really needs to prove that it can get up over 18,725 in my opinion. And then you've really then to 18,862. That should be your resistance from 725 to let's just call it 18,900 for the sake of argument there, and no sense splitting hairs. Overnight action, 60 points basically for the ES coming in at 59. And you can see we got those single prints. You should assume that that's going to be resistance until proven otherwise, but we're basically in the meat of the distribution after we had that, you know, that collapse uh, and really lost the footing under 54.70. So looking at all the indexes, we're in value for the Russell at the lower end. We're right in the value area high side now of the NASDAQ, and that zone, as I draw it, runs from, you know, basically 18,000 565 up to, you know, 18,765. So it's a 200 point range, and we could easily, you know, churn and burn in there and get rid of those single prints. Keep in mind that on a first run through, you're probably not going to take out all of these single prints. So 18,725 that I mentioned on the other technical screen is going to be right there. So probably anywhere from 700 to 720. 5 is going to be, first test resistance coming through here. And then you want to see if the bottom of this box will hold at 18,660, basically. So we'll watch that. And then for the ES, very similar. You want to see if it can get here. So when I was doing this last night, uh, when I did my review for Equity Profiles, what I was really watching was a couple different zones. And, what I'm looking at is just distributions. We're probably just going to have, some distributions. So this is a neutral distribution for me, was down right around in here for both of these indexes. And then it was a little bit more of a bearish distribution below this, potentially. And this neutral distribution could run down into these single prints as well and then respond up. Uh, and then as you're looking at, that bearish distribution, you could end up getting, all the way down to these single prints for the ES. And then the bullish distribution would be, getting up towards that XS and A line. So those are really the three little sections that I was watching. So we're basically holding, in the overnight session, the bullish distribution, and it's just been a straight lift up so far, coming out of there. So not a lot to see at this point in time. We are, fairly close to initial resistance compared to where we closed Friday. So I'm probably before I take any trades, I want to see a swing high put in. I want to see a swing low put in the first 90 minutes. And then keep in mind that we have had many days where if you that swing that comes in between 10:45 and noon marks the high and the low of the day for the session, and you stay within that swing, that whole swing, uh, the rest of the day, if that swing contains the high and the low of the day. So I'll be watching for that pattern as well. I don't have a lot going on today other than that. We can watch the VIX. Remember, the VIX isn't going to go off the board until next Wednesday. And, you know, there's just not a lot going on here. So we can churn and burn inside of this particular area that we're in this value area high zone. But what I'd really like to see is I would like to see a breakdown, come down here and trade these signal prints for the NASDAQ, not the ones for the ES. Then I would like to see a response back up that is more of a trending, area that goes up into these single prints and then, cut off. So basically the run I'm looking for would come down to basically 18,300 to 18,000 and up to 18,700. That's a 400 point range. And we're probably going to stay in that 400 point range for the majority of the session. It's just, how do we play it? And we'll find out shortly. I hope this helps. You guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.